solar operation and lack of equipment or appropriate apparatus needed to mitigate the situation. FireTrace International completed a recent study which addresses the health and safety risks associated with solar fields. The consequences created from a fire at a solar field operation poses a serious threat to human life, wildlife, and the environment. An uncontrollable toxic cloud or fire at a solar field could have devastating consequences for the surrounding environment or exposures. This is in addition to the obvious risks that fires pose to human health. The risk or damage can include air, water pollution, lung disease, and property loss. Due to the limited accessibility within the fence of the proposed facility, your first responders are going to be at a disadvantage in the event of an emergency situation. Throughout the year, your first responders in the county respond to field fires, grass fires, and equipment fires that are capable of increasing in size by the minute due to dry conditions, wind speed or direction, and lack of water supply in rural Fairfield County. With that being said, an emergency situation or fire on an adjacent property could pose a serious risk to the neighboring solar field. Solar panel fields are not engineered or constructed with the intent of having adequate accessibility to local first responders in the event of an emergency. At that point, not only are we asking our first responders to enter a hazardous area with a single egress point, but also we are asking them to enter this area without the proper equipment, resources, or knowledge needed to mitigate the situation. Adding a further degree of difficulty, we would be asking our first responders to immediately evacuate the surrounding homes and businesses due to the toxic cloud or smoke, and to also control toxic water runoff, all while attempting to mitigate the situation. As in surrounding counties and communities like Walnut Township, the retention and recruitment of firefighters continues to be a challenge. Your Fairfield County firefighters have had minimal training and experience in mitigating solar field emergencies. As a first responder in our county, I feel very fortunate and appreciative of the proactive approach to training that our first responders are provided by our county officials. The proactive stance that our county currently displays through the EMA's office and LEPC for structural firefighting, EMS, and hazmat ensures the health and safety of our first responders and communities. I'm asking you to please consider the risk versus benefits for the Eastern Cottontail Solar Project as it relates to safety, health, and preparedness of your first responders in Fairfield County and the residents that we serve. Thank you for your time and your support.
Evan, thank you for your service.
Thanks.
Who's next?
Former elementary school.
I need to have my hand out.
Oh, the trees. Good morning. My name is Beth Cottrell. I am blessed to live in Amanda Township. My father's family has farmed there for more than 100 years, and I pray that they will be able to continue to do so for a century more. They have been stewards of the land. Since I first learned of the nearly 1,700 acres of industrial solar projects proposed for our area, I've spent hundreds of hours researching the realities of such projects. We will continue sharing this research with you. Today, however, I'd like to share something less tangible than the traffic, dust, noise, disruption to wildlife, plummeting property values, damage to neighboring farms, and all of the other negatives. Today, I'd like to share with you the loss of tranquility. The small packet that I've handed you has 5 pictures that I took last June with my cell phone. This is the view from our front porch, and from many other people's very similar views in our area. I'd like you to look not only at these pictures, but listen to them. You will hear only birds and the occasional hum of a car on 188 over a mile away. When people come to our home, we often hear things like, "This is why it's called Fairfield County. This is why you choose to live so far away from everything. It's beautiful." We and many of our neighbors have chosen to live here because it is rural and agricultural. It is peaceful and beautiful. The second, larger packet is from photojournalist Doral Chenoweth of the Columbus Dispatch. This is from an article published October 31st of 2022. These are pictures taken in Ross and Pickaway County of industrial solar projects that are currently being built. I taught in Pickaway County for 30 years and know some of the people interviewed in these articles. I know the division and devastation these projects have brought to the area. I've been to Ohio Power Siting Board hearings in the area and have listened to the testimony. We invite you to come to Amanda, Liberty, Walnut, Rush Creek, and Pleasant Townships. Sit on our porches, immerse yourself in the beauty and tranquility. Then visit Ross and Pickaway counties and look and listen to what is happening in the industrial solar project areas. A picture is worth 1,000 words, but the actual experience is worth 1,000,000. Nothing that these companies promise to Fairfield County is worth it. Please protect our property rights and formally oppose these projects. Thank you.
Would be next.
Good morning, gentlemen. I stand here this morning requesting a resolution prohibiting wind and solar projects in Walnut Township.
Ma'am,
Yes.
name and address.
Oh, sorry. Angela Senafani, 2648 Blacklick Eastern Road, Millersport, Ohio, 43046. Good morning. I stand here this morning requesting a resolution prohibiting wind and solar projects in Walnut Township in Fairfield County. My concerns arise as I read news articles from other counties in central Ohio who have been haphazardly allowed alternative energy farms to take over prime farmland, who now have many unexpected problems. These counties short-sightedly focused on the promised revenues from the solar companies, and they are now regretting and paying the price for their decisions. We don't have to look far nor deep to read front-page articles on the problems arising in Madison and Pickaway counties. Sadly, we see real devastation as we look at the great state of Virginia, who have these farms scattered throughout their state, who are now scrambling to find ways to mitigate serious issues that have since reared their ugly heads on these solar farms. We have the benefit of time on our side as we can step back and look at these models with true discernment, strategic discernment with facts, studies, and empirical evidence. I'm sure you have done your research and I've done mine. My education has trained me to be thorough and diligent, studying political science at Otterbein University, law at Capital University Law School, and additional education in the LLM tax program at Capital University Law School as well. And although I do not, nor have I ever practiced as a lawyer, I'm a businesswoman. And one thing I know in my years of business ownership is that some things are hard to undo, and the best intended products, projects, and plans will sometimes fall short, and this is always costly and painful. Industrial solar plants' success is questionable at best, leaving us to worry of an incredibly difficult, costly, and painful mitigation. And the farmland being returned to farmland will be almost impossible. And that is why I oppose converting rich farmland to solar or wind plants in Walnut Township, and I clearly am not alone. There are a growing number of us that oppose these farms, a number growing exponentially every day. As a mother of 7 biological children and so far 4 grandchildren, I believe it is because we are concerned with the research that proves what our children and grandchildren will ultimately have to do when we have all passed on and we have large solar and wind farms eating up our farmland, potentially causing great environmental harm, ironically the very thing that these farms are supposed to protect. I, for one, will not have that legacy on my conscience. Our country has, as of late, put our children into a financial crisis that they may never be able to recover. I ask why we would continue with legislation and policies that make a select few wealthy, only to leave the rest of us holding the bag. But I stand here with hope. I am hopeful because we still have time, and with hope and time, we can undo wrongs and make things right. I conclude by giving gratitude this morning. Gratitude for living in a country where I can still stand in front of you today and communicate my concerns freely. Gratitude for the privilege of living in one of the most beautiful counties in our great state of Ohio, amongst farmland with some of the richest soil in our country. Gratitude for public servants who have sworn to uphold the integrity and best interests of the people in our county. And gratitude for Senate Bill 52 and House Bill 501 that gives you 3 gentlemen the ability to represent your constituents on this matter and put in place a resolution prohibiting wind and solar farms. Thank you for considering my words as I again request a resolution prohibiting wind and solar farms projects in Fairfield County immediately because time is up. Yes.
My name is Ray Steeman. I'm glad to be here this morning. And I have a couple things I'd like to say again this morning. I think most of you in this room would remember the miracle that changed the world. It referred to the book that was put out before 2000. It was called The 5,000 Year Leap. And during that time, a lot of people were giving out information that things would happen during this change of 1900, the 19th century, going into the 21st century. And in this time, the National Center for Constitutional Studies put out a card, and there's principles of liberty. The only reliable basis for sound government and just human relations is natural law. A free people, that's number one. Two, a free people cannot survive under a Republican Constitution unless they remain virtuous and morally strong. Morally is one of the strong points. Number three, the most promising method of securing a virtuous and morally stable people is to elect virtuous leaders. And that's what we have before us here in this room. All things are created by God, is number four. Therefore, upon him, all mankind are equally dependent, and to him, they are equally responsible. I would like to stop at that. There's many more. I get to them another time, but I'd like to go to prayer right now. Lord, we come before you this morning knowing that we are a people that need your guidance and direction. And it doesn't cost us anything but time and turning to you in time of need, which is always, all the time. We should keep our eyes on you as a people because you created us. You are the one that created all that we see around us in reality. And we need to give you all the glory and praise in the precious name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you, Rick.
Good morning. Judy Steeman. Same address as his. Okay, there's more news about COVID. The HHS head hides the report on fluoride toxicity for children. Yeah, they blocked the government report on fluoride that lowers kids' IQ, and the case is heading to court. The government's actions to stop the public from understanding conclusively that fluoride is harming our children is appalling and underscores the government corruption that is going to be exposed thanks to COVID. And there's 52 out of 55 studies that saw lower IQ with higher fluoride exposures. Next, exposure to atrazine encourages breast cancer cells to spread and tumors to grow larger. A study that published this month found that commonly used herbicide, atrazine, does this. Next, WHO now says, get this, COVID vaccines are not recommended for healthy kids and teens. Wow. Then goes on, it says, if a 30-year-old today had COVID shots, they can expect to live to 55 at the oldest, the government data suggests. Wow. And next is digitally distracted kids aren't reading anymore, and here's why. There's a cognitive cost, especially for children, that comes with spending too much time on the digital devices. Next, the shock study. The vaxxed lose 25 years of life. Government data confirms this. We recently reported that government data out of Australia showing the excess deaths of 22 were 5,162% higher than previous years. This shocking data should lead to severe criminal prosecutions. Yeah. Report estimates that death toll of 300,000 from COVID shots. and 150 billion in economic productivity. Next, Tom Renz. It's confirmed they're vaccinating us with mRNA through the food. Next, fake news curated by the deep state. The government spin doctors control the news cycle. More than 400 American journalists in the past 25 years have secretly carried out assignments for the Central Intelligence Agency, and the Pentagon has now designated information operation as its fifth core competency, along with land, sea, air, and special forces. And since '06, every brigade, division, and corps in the U.S. military has had its own SIPE element producing output for local media. This military activity is linked to the State Department campaigns of public. Can I finish that sentence? Thank you. This military activity is linked to the State Department's campaign of public diplomacy, which includes funding, radio stations, and news media. And I think I've only been harping on this since April of 21.
Thank you all for coming. Anything on legal? So, county administration update.
All right, weekend review, American Rescue Plan. Everything is state static from last week. 30.6 is the total amount we've received. 23.4 has been appropriated, 12 million expended, and 3.9 million encumbered or obligated. Couple updates here on some state budget amendments that CCO has shared information on. There's been an amendment to increase the local government funding from 1.66 to 2.5% of the state's GRF revenue funding amount to the local government fund. This would roughly allocate an additional $250 million in each fiscal year, which would then be distributed to counties, municipalities, and townships. This would be very, very helpful, not only to the county, but to all of those other entities as well. Indigent defense. So the amendment here would be to increase the total amount allocated for county indigent defense reimbursement by 40 million over the biennium, and does create a small permissive pilot program where counties could opt into a state-administered indigent defense program. This amendment freezes the reimbursement rate for counties at $75 an hour. Also looking to put in funding for next generation 911. This would enact a universal 70-cent user fee on 911 capable devices to allow Ohio to upgrade its 911 system. We also had information regarding the state transportation budget passing. So late last week, they enacted House Bill 23, the transportation budget. It is historic because of its resolution of the force count issue that Jeremiah Upp has brought to our attention here. So currently, there are monetary limits per mile for road improvements, so 30,000 per mile and 100,000 for bridges. Those were established in 2003, but have only received minor inflationary adjustments. The new limits are 70,000 per mile for road construction and repair and 233,000 for work on bridges and culverts. And these thresholds will be adjusted annually based on ODOT's construction cost index with a 5% cap. So this was very helpful and definitely movement in the right way. And Jeremiah was happy with that outcome. I don't think he's here today. It also earmarked 5 million in each fiscal year for regional transportation planning organizations to oversee a rural transportation planning grant program. And our own local transit is part of the Central Ohio Rural Planning Organization known as Corpo. So looking to learn more on that front. There was also a 15 million earmarked per fiscal year for a new workforce mobility program that's administered by ODOT, and that's providing grants to regional transit authorities like CODA. And lastly, no, that's it. So we'll move on. Electric vehicle charging station success. Finally,
John's not here. Yeah, we just took matters into our own hands and got them up mornings.
John went out there and got it working. So appreciative.
We'll get with you, Commissioner Davis, to give it a shot to juice up your old vehicle and get a photo op so we can share it out to the community so they know that there is a new place to charge it.
They win.
Great, thank you. I think we get a good picture out there too, right?
Yeah.
Habitat for Humanity volunteer opportunity. I see Stephanie here with us today. So county leadership has identified May 6th as the day where we're going to go help with the Pleasantville build. We have a number of folks that are signing up, but if we do have some extra slots available in the afternoon. So if anybody else would like to join us, please do so. Last year we had a great time, and poor Bart, who is afraid of heights, we had him putting the trusses on the roof. So never know what you'll get into, right, Bart?
Never know.
All right, highlights of resolutions. The review packet contains a list of administrative approvals, and we have 15 resolutions for the voting meeting today. A couple of note, we have some resolutions on adjusting term dates for TID board members and reappointing them for the time period of 23 through 25. We also have a resolution to appoint Commissioner Davis to the MCJDC Board of Trustees, and a resolution authorizing the appropriation of ARP monies for public safety software maintenance. Art, do you want to touch on that one at all?
Yes, there are just some costs that we didn't anticipate when it was originally set up. So that's just to kind of finalize that project as we move it forward.
And that is for the sheriff's computer aided dispatching software.
Correct.
And then lastly, we have a resolution on, or a couple on authorizing fund-to-fund transfers for second quarter allocations. Budget review, Bart.
Yes, the 2024 budget level 1 has opened up in the ERP today, and the budget primers will be sent out later this afternoon. If there's any questions, anybody can reach out to me and Stacy, and we will help them to the best of our ability.
Rochelle. Oh, wait, no, let me do recognition first.
We
Yep, go right ahead.
want to mention on budget, you had an opportunity to visit with Bart a little bit this morning on some of the tools that he's working on. And I just wanted to say thanks to Bart. The new tools you're working on are just incredibly helpful. Just all I got.
Okay, recognition. County Auditor Dr. Brown thanked Keith Tremblay in juvenile court for his presentation about resiliency during their all-staff meeting at the auditor's office. County Auditor Dr. Brown thanked Josh Harper, our EA manager, and the REA team for creating an address change form for the public on the real estate website. And then lastly, County Auditor Dr. Brown congratulated Nick Dilley, GIS manager, on his recent certification in cartography. All right, Rochelle, calendar review, invitations received, please.
All right, for calendar review, today the commissioners have the Regional Planning Commission meeting at 5:30 at the Record Center and the Fairfield County 4-H 2023 Achievement Award Program at 7 p.m. at OU Lancaster. For correspondence, we have a letter from the Ohio Department of Agriculture consenting to the appointment of Sean Reinhardt as the apiarist for the county. From Buckeye Lake Region Corporation, we have a newsletter and activities highlights. We have a letter from National Day of Prayer, regional directors, and an invitation for their prayer breakfast on April 17th at 8 a.m. From the Ohio Department of Commerce Division of Liquor Control, we have a liquor permit transfer from Jeffrey Peters to Dillagrath Paradise. That was approved by the Sheriff's Office. They said they had no opposition to the permit, and it has been submitted back to the Liquor Control Division. We have a thank you card to the commissioners and administrative staff from Meals on Wheels for volunteering during Community Champions Week. We have a release from the Office of County Auditor. For March 30th, the current agricultural use value program deadline is April 3rd. County Commissioners Association of Ohio provided a legislative alert on March 29th, call to action regarding indigent defense, local government funding, jail construction renovation funding, next generation 911 funding. We have a memo from Dr. Carrie Brown, County Auditor, on March 30th. Subject's current agricultural use value program record, a high renewal rate of 98%, budget commission meetings, payroll update, federal schedule, save the date notices, and most recent newsletter. TFLP District First Quarter 2023 report from Deputy Hummel from the Sheriff's Office, a reentry quarterly progress report also from the Sheriff's Office provided by Reentry Director Samantha Green, a letter from Village of Millersport Village Administrator Vince Popo regarding feasibility study for multimodal trail along State Route 204, and a letter from a resident regarding solar projects. That is all I have.
All right, thanks, Rochelle.
Any questions or comments regarding any of those issues, Commissioner Fix?
No.
Commissioner Davis?
No.
All right, jail population. Last week, the sheriff reported 264 total, with 37 of those being contracted. Today, 263, with 32 of those being contracted. That's all I have.
All business, Commissioner Fix.
So, Ani mentioned some of the County Commission Association of Ohio efforts with the state budget, and I just wanted to point out Fairfield County's leadership role in some of those efforts. Local government funds was not on the agenda to go after this year, and because of a push that we made, the board of directors got behind that, and $250 million is a lot of money to be spread around locally. It also helps the small townships and villages, which we have a number of here in Fairfield County, with significantly more money. So that's a pretty big deal. The indigent defense has always been a issue for CCAO. And, Commissioner Davis has made a point over the years that I've taken to the board that is, look, it doesn't matter what the number is if they keep raising the rates. So we were able to not only get $40 million more into the budget, but also to lock in the current rates so that the state public defender can't just go out and tell all the defense lawyers to ask for raises, right? So that shell game has been played for the last several years, and this year it looks like it's going to stop, and we're very pleased with that. There is a move to go from $25 million a year to $100 million a year for jail construction, which normally would not apply to us because we've already spent the money to build our jail. But one of the clauses or amendments that we're asking to be put in that looks like it has some legs is that be retroactive. So there may be an opportunity for us to recover some of our funds. And then lastly, the next generation 911 looks like it's moving forward as well. Those are just some of the efforts that we're putting forth. We had lunch yesterday with our state representative, Jeff Luray, and he is supportive of all of these amendments. And it looks like we're going to be successful with most or all of them. So that's kind of a big deal. And then lastly, on the state transportation budget, it did come out that there will be $50 million put in the budget to build the Pickerington Road interchange, which we've been working on for 20 years. And that's finally coming to fruition. Looks like it'll start in 24 and be completed in 25, according to our county engineer, Jeremiah Upp. That's the start of bigger plans, right, for that area, trying to build that connector between 33 and 70, but it's a start, and it's a step that we've been working on for quite some time, so that's a pretty big deal as well. So we are exerting our influence with the state budget and feel pretty good about how Fairfield County is being represented. That's all I have, sir. Thank you.
So if I can make a comment regarding some of the things you talked about, and some of the things that are taking place in the state budget, I think Commissioner Fix played a very big role with his association with CCAO in making some of those things happen. So I compliment him on that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Davis.
Join in your compliments to Commissioner Fix and nothing under old business.
Okay, under old business, Commissioner Fix talked about a lot of different things, especially at Pickerington Road interchange. That's a big deal. That's been on the agenda for as many years as I can remember. Last week, we had at the Workforce Center a career opportunity where there was a lot of employers represented there. So, Rick, if you'd like to comment regarding that.
Yeah, it's the biggest event yet for our career expo. We had 80 some employers signed up, 70 some came. I like how everybody's, searching for employees yet, like 10 of the companies weren't able to show up, but we'll focus on the others. So there were 70 some employers there, over 300 students. All 8 school districts, along with Eastland Fairfield, they sent students this year. So buses were coming in and out. Great event. It's about 3 hours long and a lot of positive feedback from the employers. I'm excited about. We've lined up some new career readiness partners through that. That's always a chance for us to recruit new partners. So just a great event as a whole. Thanks for coming and visiting, and our team, Deshaun Tony, Adam Sedlacko, Carrie Stone, and Bailey Fields did an amazing job putting that together.
So I had an opportunity to talk to a representative from Claypool Electric. He was there and he said they had 35, not necessarily from this group, but 35 applicants and with 10 openings. And he said that's the first time ever. So that's pretty amazing. So,
Good work.
yeah, good work. All right, new business, Commissioner Fix.
So I'm attending a meeting tomorrow night at Thurston Municipal Building. Village of Thurston is working on kind of their plans for housing and development, and is reaching out for help. So I'm going to kind of step into that, and eventually we'll involve Rick and his team. But it's just a sign to me that the message that we're putting out there to all the villages and townships that we need to get ready is starting to take hold. So some of the smaller local governments are becoming proactive, which is exactly the result that we were looking for when we started down this path a year ago. So I'm excited to go to Thurston, right? To have that conversation. So it's a good thing.
Commissioner Davis.
I just want to thank my colleagues for, in advance for covering the balance of my schedule today. I appreciate that. And since I'm free, you know, if anybody wants to party, that's what I got planned today, so.
Party with the sick dude. What could be better?
So tonight I'll have the opportunity myself with Commissioner Fix and possibly Commissioner Davis attending.
If he's been partying.
Yeah, well, right. The 4-H event, recognizing a lot of the young 4-Hers. You know, anytime I attend those events, I'm always impressed by some of the young people and their accomplishments. So again, I'm looking forward to that.
We should mention, we do have our roundtable today where a lot of the, most all of the directors and elected officials around the county get together and share what's going on with each other. And, you know, that's probably not my favorite event of the year, but I recognize that there's a lot of benefit to all those folks being able to share with each other and network. And so I'm looking forward to that this afternoon.
So today we have a reasonably short voting agenda. So why don't we stay down here to do that? Please rise up your apron and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Rochelle, any announcements?
Yes, the Fairfield County offices will be closed at noon this coming Friday in observance of Good Friday.
So approval of minutes for Tuesday, March 28, 2023.
So moved. Second.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Minutes passed 3-0. From the Fairfield County Commissioner's Office, Resolution 2023-4.4.a, a resolution approving the reappointment of Commissioner Steve Davis to the Multi-County Juvenile Detention Center Board of Trustees.
Under Commissioners, I move items A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H.
Second. Discussion.
Honored to be asked.
I'm glad that you're doing it.
Well, you know, I think Commissioner Davis has done an extraordinary job with moving that organization forward, looking at new ways of doing business. And so I appreciate all of his work on that.
And I do want to mention these TID board approved appointments. You know, it's basically paperwork, but I have been attending the TID board on and off now for about a year and a half. And I have to say that the people who participate in that board are engaged and are on it and our experts, and we are very fortunate to have the group of people that we have, and Jeremiah does a great job leading that group. So I'm pleased that we're taking care of this.
So you even had to move it to a larger conference room.
That's right.
to Accommodate that
Yeah.
activity.
A lot of people. It's good.
I agree. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Motion's passed 3-0. From Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities, Resolution 2023-4.4.i. A resolution to approve a reimbursement for sheriff costs for SmartNet warranty support paid to CBTS as a memo expenditure for Fund Number 2060.
Under Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities, I move items I and J.
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Motion's passed 3-0. From the Fairfield County Engineers Office, Resolution 2023-4.4.k. A resolution to approve the ODOT road salt contract for 2023.
For Fairfield County Engineer, move items K and L.
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Motion's passed 3-0. From the Fairfield County Family, Adult, and Children First Council, Resolution 2023-4.4.m. Approval of an amendment to a grant agreement approved by Resolution 2022.8.23.k between the Fairfield County Board of Commissioners as administrative agent for the Fairfield County Family, Adult, and Children First Council and the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services as the administrative entity for Ohio Children's Trust Fund.
Under Family, Adult, and Children First Council, I move items M and N.
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Motion's passed 3-0. On payment of bills, Resolution 2023-4.4.o. A resolution authorizing the approval of payments of the vouchers without appropriate carryover purchase orders and the cash disbursement for all departments that are covered, that are approved by the Commissioners.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. The next regular meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, April 11th at 9 a.m.
Are we adjourning or are we staying in session?
Adjourning.
Okay.
They're two separate meetings.
Got it.
Any other additional items to come before the Board of Commissioners this time? Dr. Brown.
I'd just like to report that we have 74 cases following tomorrow to address for the Board of Revision, which is an extraordinarily low number. A couple of different efforts have really helped with that, with certainly the informal hearings held, as well as online access and the effort with CAUV.
What is the deadline, Dr. Brown?
Deadline is March 31st.
Okay, so it's passed, so
That's
that would be the total, right?
That is what we will have following the actions we're going to take on April 5th. We have several things that we have organized already for tomorrow.
Okay.
So I'll continue to say that your communication efforts have been extraordinary and are obviously bearing fruit. So thank you for your work there.
Means a lot to everybody in terms of the efficiency of that board.
In prior years, it was in the hundreds.
They expected 1,200. Would not have been unusual. We did 1,000 informal
Yeah,
hearings.
74 is a pretty good number, I'd say.
You know, so that makes sense.
Anyone else? Any item before the commission this morning?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned. We'll reconvene at 1 o'clock at agriculture. Thanks.